Welcome, everybody, to the Far and Beyond podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Scott.
I'm Micah.
And
Good to see you.
That's really all we practice for. So we're going to end the show now. Thanks for joining us.
It's been great. It's been real. Wait, I just noticed something. It's called continuity. It's continuity. I want to do continuity here for those that ever do anything in film or what have you. So how am I finding pockets of things here? What do I do with them? Look at my glasses. I notice my sunglasses. Most people always see my sunglasses on my head. I'm like, for continuity's sake, I should probably do that. But there they are.
So there you go.
They are, right there. There we go. There. Now,
he's a rock star.
You won't know the difference
from
intro to now. We'll keep it all the same.
That's perfect. This is our first show.
It is.
We're going to be coming to you twice a month. And for now, it might become more often if we can find the time. And
how much you want us.
Yeah, if you want to participate. This is the thing. Make sure that you like the channel, share it with your friends, and follow us. And put your comments in. If you're watching live right now, or even if you're watching a recording, when you put those comments in, we can see those. Live, we can talk to you live. If you put the comments in, we'll answer your questions. But the other stuff, if you're watching the show in a replay, put it down because Mike and I will be watching the reactions and answering those questions.
Absolutely. And we want to make this interactive. That's the beautiful thing about this format is that the value of any show is the folks that are watching and what we can do to interact. That's why we're here.
We're
here to
absolutely. Help. And one of the reasons that Mike and I did this together, we've known each other now for, I don't know. Years. We've been running into each other definitely for the past 7 years.
Yes.
And maybe beyond that. But we're both of the same ilk that recovery is about having fun and being alive. It's not about just maintaining.
Right.
We've done that life, right?
So that's a term from Maine that we like to use. How you doing today, buddy? Maintaining. You're in between plow season and wood cutting season.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Maintaining.
I was in Maine for summer last year. It was a very long day.
Yeah.
That's all it was 1 day. But.
I spent a week in North Dakota one day.
But we're all about having fun in recovery, celebrating, and we're also about helping people too. And that's why FARR, which is a Florida Addiction Recovery Residences, is our sponsor, and certainly that's why we call it Far and Beyond. And of course, Sober Life Studios is our other sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all about making sure that people have a safe place to go, have a place that is following. Not just rules, but rules that are meant to protect the people in recovery. Right. How important is that right now?
Oh, it's very important. I'll put on my my serious hat for a moment. But when we look at recovery housing, it's really the key ingredient to that recovery experience, that early recovery experience especially. What we have found through certainly research is that, safe, secure, keyword being safe, secure, attainable housing is really the ultimate predictor of long-term recovery success, because that is your sense of place, sense of safety, and you surround that and underpin it with other recovery capital. Now we're talking. So it's really pivoting from that sort of treatment-centric model. And again, treatment has its very important place in this process, but looking at overall a recovery-centric model. So with housing as sort of the meat in the middle of so you have great care coordination on top, you have that housing security in the middle, and then you underpin that with recovery supports. That leads to long-term recovery engagement, and that's the special sauce.
And moving into either a sober living halfway house, or there's a lot of different names for them, but it's pretty much a situation where you're new in recovery, and you need a support system, accountability. That's right. In safety. But it's really important that somebody transition that way. It's not everybody, but a lot of people need that, because while you're in a treatment center, you're protected.
Bubble wrap.
Nobody's coming up to you on the streets offering you drugs. You're not driving past your favorite bar. None of those things are going on.
You're fed well. You got a place. You're hanging out. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what happens is people get out of treatment and they get thrown out into thrown out into the world.
Well, it is. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now take everything you learned and use it real time.
And by the way, like right now, and which is good. However, here's the challenge: is that think about that for a second. Someone who's not even in recovery, just someone finds themselves in a situation where, okay, I have no job, no home, no resources. My head's starting to get clear, but now I'm expected to find a job, find housing, and get my life back together in the next, 48 hours. That's not a recipe for success.
No.
So we put a lot of pressure on the backs of the newly recovered, whereas that moment where they've made that choice, the individuals made that choice, the willingness to find recovery, and then all of a sudden we're going to put all that at risk by putting you in such a vulnerable place.
Yeah.
So we, and look, it's not a finger pointing game. It's how we need to improve our system of care. That's all. And because again, in its separate parts, we have so many resources. Now it's about threading those things together. And that's the big difference. And we're podcasting here in Broward County, and Broward County has been I work up in Palm Beach County. FARR is statewide. I'll say it. Palm Beach County has led the way in a lot of fields in recovery in the state recently. Broward is right there too. And between the two counties, you almost have like all the pieces to the puzzle. And we're looking forward to working with other parts of the state as far as, creating those recovery community environments, recovery community organizations, recovery community centers. We have them at Broward, we have them in Palm Beach County. There's a few others across the state, but ours have been embraced by our own county governments, have embraced by the community. And then the housing component is just that, again, that's a special ingredient. I think so people realize how broad this network is. Certified houses, those that have met that certification and that standard, we have over 9,000 beds, over 230 providers in the state of Florida. Over a third of those are right here in the dual county area of Broward and Palm Beach County. So you're talking a significant resource there for people to engage with, to find recovery in, and more importantly, find their voice too, because this works the best when those in recovery are the informed voice of the community we create.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a rarity right here. We've got two Sandys have joined us right in a row. Sandy Archer is my friend Sandy. We've done podcasts together and stuff. I believe she's in Canada, I think. But
we could talk Canada all day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sandy. Yeah, we're all
well,
over
I
the
see.
place.
I see that name.
We got another Sandy here, and this one's my mom, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Sandy mom is out there, and she's sharing that it's important information. This is Hannah. This is one of our great successful recovery people out there.
Love it.
Who's doing really good, and I see her all over. She's sending love and love right back
We're
to you.
sending love
right back to you.
This way? I always get it wrong. Is that way? Is how we do it?
Well, that's a good way to do it. People do this.
I think this is the European version.
But I got fat hands, so I look like I got a heart that's about to explode into a corner.
Maybe this is
Virginia. Let's see. Where are you? Sandy says I'm in Virginia Beach now. Was in Kansas City. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Sandy, got you mixed up with the other person up there. But yeah, go Chiefs.
Oh, that's this weekend.
Yeah, that's this weekend, Super Bowl weekend. Now let's talk about that for a moment, because and we're gonna touch more on recovery houses and everything. I got to throw this out there. Hannah says, "Yes, truly amazing. The power of recovery is so real. I am beyond blessed. Truly." That's absolutely right. There is power in recovery. When you take your life back, it's amazing what happens. But here's an event. Now, this is a perfect opportunity. We have an event coming up on Sunday. If you're watching this after the Super Bowl, well,
we're not going to make predictions.
It still counts because Valentine's Day is coming up. St. Patrick's Day. We've got 4th of July. There's
Cinco de Mayo.
Thursday afternoons.
That's
all the
right.
things I addressed with drug use and drinking.
Tuesday at 2:00.
But these are big deals. People are like, well, I can't watch football without a beer, and I can't do this. And they're so programmed. And that's another part of being in a recovery community when you come out. Yeah. Because you will be around people who say, hey, let's watch the game.
Super Bowl.
The beer has nothing to do with the game.
Well, it's really interesting. I feel I'm going to get a white coat and do, because I'm not a doctor, not a professor. Don't play one on TV. But the research is out there, and it's interesting when we look at prevention. Okay, let's look at alcohol specifically and bringing up the big game. I think we're not allowed to say we have to call it the big game. I think NFL comes after us. Don't they just get mad at us?
We can say Super Bowl.
We can say Super Bowl.
This is a podcast.
All right.
Screw you, NFL.
Super Bowl. By the way, they're a nonprofit.
By the way, fire half of your refs and start over.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to tell you right now.
The other is, they're a nonprofit.
The NFL's not a nonprofit.
They're a nonprofit. I'd like some of those nonprofits, thank you, to support all these wonderful causes that we're a part of. Anyways, go NFL.
Apparently, they're non-denominational too, but I've seen them light up at 10s and 20s. They like some denominations, let me tell you.
Well, some call it tickets, others call it passing the donation plate. But when we are looking, so you're going to see who are the biggest advertisers on
Budweiser
Bud,
and
Miller
and those guys, yeah.
I mean, and for years they've created the most iconic advertising. Everybody remembers it. You got your Clydesdales, you have your Spuds McKendy, your Lizards, your Puppy Bowl.
Great taste, less filling.
Great taste, less filling. All those things, right? They are in the vernacular. What those do, I mean, because they know they're geniuses. They spend billions on advertising every year. They have the best. They're good at it. As a kid who grew up in a marketing household, that's what my dad did. They were brilliant, but they know how to hit your emotions the right way. They either make you go, aw, or they make you laugh, which is a big thing. They just give you that warm, fuzzy feeling, and it knows how to wire and fire those good feeling pieces in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So wired fire. There's a great professor, or doctor, I should say, Dr. Peter Benedettis, now retired. He's out of New Mexico. Did a lot of study on this concept of expectancy. A little shout out to Peter D, my man. Anyways,
there you go.
And it was about expectancy. His whole thing was it's the thinking, not the drinking. And because all those messages, fire and wire, it was like at that time, pre-social media, you were looking at like 500 million impressions of alcohol before you were old enough to drink alcohol.
Yes.
Because it's every time you walk by the cooler, every time you walk by the cardboard cutouts, every time you see a NASCAR, every time you see a TV ad, every time, fire and wire. Okay. So the whole thing was if we can change, if you are able to read through the expectancy. So you see those TV ads, okay, and it's always the fun guys drinking. Every party and every looks good. Every always looks good, right? The best people. And who's the who's the lame one? Oh well, they always have the nerdy person or this or that, quote unquote. Not calling anybody out, but they would always portray someone who was the buzzkill, if you will, and you want to be like the cool guy. Well, it's all the expectancies. What they found, they did a whole study. It's actually right up the road, South Florida. Florida State. Well, we got a lot of universities here, but it's in Florida.
Yeah.
Central
FAU,
Florida.
Florida Atlantic? No.
FSU?
FSU, Florida State University.
That sounds right. Okay.
It could be.
No, I know it was.
It's some kind of big FU.
It's a big FU. Where do we train our brightest? FU. So, speaking of FUs, they set up a bar on campus like you do, and looked like a beautiful bar. And they had 12 folks in there. Did multiple studies, but 12 folks in there, and half of which got alcohol. The other half did not. They either got non-alcoholic beer or a special drink of the night concoction, which was tonic water gone flat, with the bartender dipping their finger in vodka, just rimming the glass for the smell. And it was a vodka cranberry. And not only did the half that were not drinking think they were drinking, a quarter or half the students that were drinking didn't realize they were actually drinking alcohol. The people that acted the goofiest and had the behaviors that show drinking didn't have a drop.
Wow.
So the reason why I say this, so when you get to Super Bowl Sunday, there's the expectancy that it's, it's rah, get drunk, party, game, this, that, and else. When at the end of the day, it's a football game. You just want to hang out with your friends, probably eat some, slightly aging guacamole and enjoy the time together. That's really what you're there for.
Yeah.
The alcohol
Save the brown guacamole for me. That's what I like it when
we call it. It's like creme brulee.
Yeah, jeez. Don't ruin creme brulee for me.
But
but this is a mind game.
Crazy. It is. It's a mind
game. And that's one of the things that whether you have an addiction problem, alcohol problem, or it's the mind game that media wants to,
of course,
portray so that they can sell products. It's that there's an expectation that if you're walking through a restaurant and everybody has a drink in their hand and you have a Coca-Cola, that you're out of place.
We're out of place.
But you're not.
No.
And see, that's why like the false liquors and stuff or the false alcohols, what they're preying on is they're saying, Okay, so you can't drink, but you still need to fit in.
Right.
What
is that?
Yeah. I had when beginning of my recovery, I had tried the NA beer, but I was not a beer drinker, so I'm not sure. I didn't see the attraction to it. But I wasn't a beer drinker. Years later, they do have alcohol or non-alcoholic whiskeys that are actually, it's never had alcohol in it. It's not like 0.05%.
Right.
But they took some and they put the flavor of like a whiskey, like a woody flavor, different things. And
they ground up some old barrels.
And I said
and
to myself, this is a true story. I said to myself, you know what? I love cooking. Cooking is a passion for me. I've always wanted to flambe. But I don't like having alcohol in the house. So I saw this non-alcoholic beverage that's supposed to be like whiskey. And I said, now I can flambe. It didn't work.
Way to go, Mr. Wizard.
I pour it in. I'm lighting the son of a... I'm like, why isn't it light? Because there's no alcohol in it.
I just drowned my chocolate cake.
And you know what? The truth is, I don't care. If you drink something that doesn't have alcohol in it, I really don't care.
Right.
But it's about the reasoning and it's about the mindset.
Right.
And the mindset of people is if I don't have the drink in my hand, I am not a part of what's going on around me. Isn't that the part that you were trying to escape from, though?
That's right. It's the environmental component, right?
Yes.
So there's no reason. We have restaurants for a reason. Restaurants are there for food. Beverages are a big part of it just because there's that cultural component. And the other part, it's a great profit center.
Oh, yeah.
So, restaurants weigh way more on the liquid they serve than the food they provide. No big secret there. No commercial secret there. But so that pressure, if you will, and if you take a group of folks out in recovery, sort of those early, call it test runs, if you will, and it helps people just see that observation of what the culture is. We live in South Florida. It's a tourist state. It's a party state. It's all those things good gosh, we are now going to have officially Margaritaville Jimmy Buffett Way on A1A to the late great Jimmy Buffett, which is well deserved, but think about it.
I love my Jimmy Buffett.
Exactly.
I love my Jimmy Buffett.
So, but go to Margaritaville. What are they going to offer you? Margaritas.
Yes.
Right? It's a big thing.
But you know what? They also make great burgers.
And
guess what?
Cheeseburger in
Their
paradise.
iced tea is tasty.
Exactly.
It's
you don't need to. So, I mean, the official, if you guys want to know the official drink of Florida, it's not a margarita. It is the Arnold Palmer.
So
iced tea and lemonade, greatest drink of all time, next to black coffee.
So anyway, Hannah's saying alcohol is everywhere. It's scary that it's normalized for us. The normalization, not just normalization,
it's entertainment.
It's supposed to be a rite of passage.
Rite of passage.
It's supposed to be you're an adult when you could do this, and you're,
or you're accepted. Or all. That's right.
I agree that it goes in subconsciously. We had a keg delivered to our garage. My stepdad's an alcoholic. It made me against drinking for a long time. Watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to get to all of these, but Sandy.
By the way, we love people commenting. This is fantastic. This is great.
Sandy says, I've been working on not drinking anymore. I don't have a problem, however, but I feel like it's been not good on my body.
Yeah.
See, now there's an interesting thought.
Sure.
Let's take alcoholism and drug addiction out of it.
Right.
Is there anything redeeming or healthy about putting alcohol and drugs in your body? Don't go to surgeries. Don't go to doctors. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about doing it purposefully for the effect or for whatever. I'm not talking about I had one guy told me I'd never take a pain pill ever again, ever. I said, well, after the meeting, let's go outside. I'm going to slam your hand in my car door.
Right.
Then we're going to have this conversation again.
Actually, what we'll slam the other hand in, and that'll make the other one feel so good, you'll forget all about it.
There you go.
No, look, there are, like anything, there are, and usually it's a study from France, right? It's a French study that they're like, a glass of red wine, this or that. Anything that would be considered, say, medicinal, if you will, can be reproduced with something else that isn't. And this isn't, look, there are millions and billions of people on a daily basis that consume an alcoholic beverage, and it doesn't have that effect that it does for someone with the disease of addiction. It is what it is, right? That's how it works. However, and look, hundreds of years ago, you drank, most things were fermented because you didn't have clean water.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true. That's a
that
good
keep
point.
you from dying. So there was actually a lot of studies around, behaviors and things. I was like, well, because people were kind of half-cocked half the time because they couldn't drink anything else or they would die. So there's that. So we want to make sure we're not, throwing the baby out with the old fermented water. But the idea, though, is that modern day, that comment right there, it just doesn't feel good in my body. It doesn't feel good in your body. Awesome. So we just move on.
It's so funny that, a lot of people vaping now. I vape.
Look at that monster.
This is actually a small one. Some people got.
I like the ones that look like lightsabers.
They're carrying it like a proton
That's
pack
right.
from Ghostbusters.
That's right.
Oh, the little.
Yeah.
No, I need the big.
Well, it's like the old Camel Wides versus the Virginia Slim.
But it always makes me. I gotta laugh that they're going after the government. It's like, oh my God, this could be bad for you. We need to shut this down.
Right.
And yet, cigarettes are still being sold everywhere.
Right.
So there's kind of a dichotomy there too.
We
will keep things going if it makes us money.
Right.
And even things like legalizing marijuana. I'm not going to fight about whether it's good or bad.
Right.
If you're in recovery, I don't see why you'd want to be cloudy or messed up. Right. But that's your call. But let me see. Sandy, this is Sandy Mom. Says the expectation is not that you will watch a game, have fun, then go outside with your best friends and freeze to death.
That's right. That actually happened in Kansas City, didn't it? Didn't they get hypothermic?
Oh my God.
Isn't that real? That was a real thing.
That was a real bad. Yeah, that was a bad situation.
I'm all about the showing your pride, but there's a reason why exposed skin in 20 below zero doesn't work out very well. So even if you paint yourself red, it's not going to protect you. So Kansas City Chiefs fans out there. Awesome. Put some clothes on.
I'm rooting for the 49ers, and I'm rooting for the 49ers because I love underdogs. I
still love Joe Montana.
How could you not? Steve Young, Joe Montana,
Jerry Rice.
And then even after then, they had Elvis Grbac. They had a couple of guys that did okay, but but yeah. So anyway, let's get back to this for 1 second, just for 1 second. We are like, if something shiny shot across the screen right now, you would lose Mike and I for the next 30 minutes.
Flip a coin, we're on it.
Yeah, that's it. Squirrel.
But
this is another part of the necessity of having a strong support system when you're going into recovery.
That's right.
And whether it's people that you live with in a sober living facility, or if it's maybe you're going home to a family that already has recovery in it, which doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But connect with those people and follow those people, because we still got these twisted ideas that the world is trying to put in us that we no longer fit in. Right. We've got to flip the script on that. I don't walk around. If I saw somebody stick a pencil in their eye, right through their eyeball, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh God, I wish I could do that. Because it hurts, it's painful, it's terrible. When I put alcohol and drugs in my body, it hurts, it's painful, it's terrible, but I still look at other people and I want to do it. It's about changing our thinking and putting it in a place where it belongs. Sure. I love the smell of gas. I don't know. Are you most people?
Look, leaded gas look, if you're a child or an adult now of a certain age, leaded gas. Also the really cool real oil can they put the spout in.
Oh yeah.
You had to have that smell, and the leaded gas. I mean,
I love that smell.
No wonder that and lead paint. We had all the good stuff.
But I have never once been filling my car with Supreme.
Yeah.
And said, oh, maybe I should just take a little and drink.
Right. I bet it tastes as good as it smells.
I love the smell of it. I don't ever say to myself, maybe I should drink some.
Right.
Why don't I do that? Why? Because my brain knows something called the truth.
Yeah.
Truth is, I put that stuff in my body. It is a poison. It doesn't belong there. It will hurt me. It could kill me.
That's right.
Alcohol's the same way with me.
Alcohol's not that much different.
I'm not going to lie and tell people I hate the smell. No, I will love it till the day I die. Mm-hmm. But I see it as the truth, and I've got about as much compunction to drink that bottle as I do about drinking that gas.
Yeah.
Because I put it in its proper place in my thinking. And that's where we need people to help us to see that this is not a necessary thing.
Well, look, you bring up a really good metaphor too. What do they call a really good martini? gasoline.
There you go.
So, and I throw back to my old chemistry class in high school where we used to make alcohol. When you could do that, you could light hydrogen stuff. We get a lot more fun then. But
we used to steal the magnesium strips.
Oh yeah, good
out
fun.
of the and put it in people's cigarettes, and then stand outside the school, or even when we used to smoke in a teacher's lounge. Some of the students,
if you wanted the purple haze, you'd go into the teacher's lounge. Like, I got to get the mimeographs off the mimeograph machine so you could, smell the purple magic. And
you want to find the addicts at school and the drug dealers? Go to
the teacher's lounge.
Go to the 1970s teacher's lounge. That's what you needed. But we used to put the magnesium strips in the boom.
Oh yeah, it's like a magic show. But
yeah, that's now it's like. They give you non-toxic Crayola crayons.
Oh, I don't. What they did though was great. You made your own gasoline. We made it out of potatoes, of course. We're in Maine, potato gasoline. But our chemistry made a great good point because you distill the stuff and then he'd run a lawnmower on it. He said, and that was his prevention. He's like, if it combusts and you can run a lawnmower on it, do you really want to drink this? And the whole point was that between ethanol and gas and alcohol that you ferment for. It's all the same poison. If you drink it undiluted, it will kill you. Yeah. And it's just that's when people, at the end of the day, your body is trying to keep itself from being poisoned. It's when the mind-body part, that's the addiction part. Yeah, that's why the brain part tries to override that. And it tries to override that for those in addiction and those that are not in addiction, because at the same time, both individuals are putting poison in their body. So that what you said about, is it need to be a part of that? No, there's a cultural piece to it, but there's also, let's look at the stigma. All right. I think that's what you're talking about. It's like, if I don't have it, I don't fit in.
Absolutely. Sandy says, love the don't drink gas. I agree.
If we could give you one, hey kids,
we need to change our thoughts on it. Yes.
Hey kids, two things: don't drink gasoline and don't believe in dinosaurs. There you go. There's our advice today.
We got to change the thinking. If you don't change the thinking, the habit will return. It's going to return. If you're always walking around, see, this is the thing. This is like people always walk around. Oh, I can't drink and I can't use. And I'm like, well, then you don't have a problem.
Right.
See, my problem is I can drink and I can use. Problem is when I do it, it's the only thing I can do.
What's the old adage? Drinking and drugs are fantastic until they aren't.
Until they aren't.
And generally, they always become aren't.
And we got to stop with the can't. We got to start with the I choose.
Choose.
Why don't I drink? Because I choose not to live the life I lived before. I choose. It's not that I can't. I can do it.
Right.
But I choose. I choose my family over that.
Mm-hmm.
I choose my kids over that. I choose my job over that. I choose my health over that. I choose. And we need to change the paradigm, the way people think. The victimization that we've created by this, I'm powerless over addiction thing, it's a victimizing statement that when you're a victim, you can't make changes. You need to be empowered. And the best way to empower yourself is through action, right, and through a support system. And I'm not going to go into the big spiritual thing, but a higher power could be very helpful.
Well, and the other part too, and you look at that, and when people say that powerless statement, it's like, okay, switch that from powerless to just saying, okay, I have a health issue.
Yeah.
This is the number one health crisis in the United States: behavioral health, substance use addiction. If it isn't you, it's one person removed. You know them, you love them, or it's you. That's how pervasive it is. Way more than any other disease model. But if it is a disease model, and it is a disease model, then it's okay. Give me the tools to manage, right? Give me the tools to manage. And that is exactly what someone does in their own individual recovery. The other thing we hammer in our recovery-oriented system of care, and that's what we describe. It's a recovery-oriented system of care. The individual is at the center of that universe, and their recovery is informed by them.
That's right.
And so whatever those needs are, whatever those tools are, beautiful. Make sure those tools are working for you. And if you need further, that's why you create this network. That's why you get those resources we talk about.
Shout out to my friend Bill Yost for joining us. He says, hello, my friend. Bill, I haven't talked to him or seen him in 30 years. So we go back to the old days of Syracuse, New York. And
the Carousel Center Mall, is that in Syracuse,
New York? Yeah. How do you know that?
My brother went to Cazenovia College for about, I don't know,
Oh, he was one of the 12 people that went to that
He was
school.
one of the 12 people that went there.
A very small college. It was
very small, very liberal
Casanova
arts.
is so beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I think it was the one school he could get into.
It's
very bright. My brother's super smart, very successful. I think he went there for art, or
really,
or weed. I'm not sure which.
They call it horticulture.
Horticulture.
Come on, horticulture.
That being said, but Syracuse, great. We got the old Carrier Dome. Syracuse, I have a bunch of friends went to Syracuse University.
Oh, okay, yeah. Carrier Dome. I've seen
yep.
SU play there 1,000 times. I've seen many concerts there, going all the way back to Styx and Queen with Freddie Mercury.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Okay. Just beat me to the punch there. I missed that.
The Stones I saw there, Pink Floyd I saw there, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I mean it just goes on. I'm a huge music junkie, just like you.
Yes.
So let's kick it another notch.
Music. One of the best things.
Music can change your mood.
Changes everything.
You could be having the worst freaking day ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything's on your stress. Everything's stressing you out. The kids are pissing you off. The rent's due. The job, the boss. And you're driving along, and all of a sudden your favorite song comes on. And for some reason, you still find yourself singing along. You don't want to, but you do.
You do.
So driving along, next thing you know, come on, Barbie. Let's go party. We're just Barbie Girl by Aqua. Look it up. It's a classic. But the song comes on, it changes your brain chemistry.
That's right.
It's amazing. Music is so underutilized in recovery, and I think it should be a huge part of recovery, used as a meditation tool. First of all, most people, everybody's, I meditate every day. No. Most people sit and think every day.
I don't meditate.
I don't.
I think a lot.
I sit and I think.
I think. Yeah.
But I can let go of all the things, just like you should do in meditation. You can let go of everything. If I allow certain music to play and I just allow myself to ride on that music.
Well, there's also, and look, there are people that are just, meditation is their thing. We're just goofballs. So just remember that. So, but I'm
thinking of jokes while I'm
That's
meditating.
right. Well,
come on.
It's like, well, as in meditation, I'm like, my meditation chamber flushes. Anyways, oh,
wait a minute.
There's a brick wall behind us for a reason.
No longer called the Carrier Dome. What is it called now?
Oh, that's a new name?
Bill, man, tell me, because I have not heard that yet. Loving this show. Thank you, Sandy. We appreciate you.
I was like, I couldn't tell you the last four names of the major stadiums around here. I just drove by coming here. JetBlue, whatever. Arena. Panther Arena is now the Amarant.
It's not BB&T anymore.
No, Amarant. Is that a condition?
I don't know.
And I got myself a rough case of the Amarant.
They name stadiums after anything. The FedEx Stadium, the Roto-Rooter Stadium, the Tostitos Bowl. Come on.
Hey, my favorite of all time, though. This is well. Of course, you had all the Busch stadiums in St. Louis, which makes sense. But for those in New England, when the Patriots were, well, they're as bad as they are again now. But we had a good 20 years. But before that, it was brutal, and they played at Schaefer Stadium. Schaefer.
It's now Gillette Stadium.
It's now Gillette, yes, but Schaefer Stadium, which was, as we used to call it, Chauffier.
Oh, perfect.
Speaking of gasoline,
there's so much fun. But music is a big part of both.
And look, and
art and creativity. People discount. And look, there are art therapies, there's music therapies, and there's some incredible things to be done in that. But just the act, and I do a lot of group work in a lot of groups, and I bring music into a lot of it now. And not coming from a therapeutic end, knowing full well it's therapeutic, but coming from it as an experiential component. Because if you think about a lot of the music, and we say it takes you to that place and you sing along, a certain song will take you to a place, a date, a time, a person. I mean, it is unbelievable. There are certain songs that I hear and I can feel the weather where I was. I can feel the temperature. Yep. I can see. It was fun. I just turned 50. You can almost pick up on. Sometimes you can even pick up on odors and stuff while you're.
Oh my gosh,
right?
The olfactory memory is incredible.
Yeah.
Now there's some some odors I don't want to remember, but there are some. But I'll tell you what, it was funny. I was I just had my 50th birthday. I made it.
Wow.
And I was listening to Van Halen, and I was doing a little compare because I love old Van Halen, and there's some Van Hagar stuff I like too. But there's one tune, "Summer Nights," right? Van Halen.
Yeah.
First got a great guitar intro and the whole. I mean, it's a great Van Halen song. But I remember when that song came out, and like it was in my neighborhood. It was a summer night. It was that that July was like it had, when like those summer nights when you have a big thunderstorm, then it clears and everything smells awesome. The asphalt smells good. The trees smell good. It's a little bit cooler. It's this and that. You're hanging out with your friends, perhaps a girl or two.
Hey, why not?
Whatever But and that song was that song for that thing. And every time I hear it, it's right there. It's right there.
It can be so transformative. A lot of people don't connect well with their childhood.
Right.
A lot of people have that issue. One of the things that I discovered was, because part of my problem is that because of my years of alcoholism and drug addiction, I developed CRS.
Okay.
Which is can't remember shit.
Right.
And my childhood is kind of a big blank to me. But if I put on music that was played when I was a child, the music of your parents. Now, luckily, hopefully you got cool parents.
Yeah.
Because I listen to music of my parents. I got to listen to Simon and Garfunkel and Harry Neeson and those kind of things. And but when I listen to those, there's a song Harry Neeson does called "Everybody's Talking at Me."
Everybody's talking at me. Yeah, right from Midnight Cowboy.
Yes, but it takes
we can't do that here.
It takes me back to when I was a child in Wisconsin, because I was born in Syracuse. We moved to Wisconsin there for a few years, but we used to travel back and forth between Syracuse and Wisconsin for visiting grandparents and stuff. And it was when my parents were together a very long time ago, and we had a VW microbus or a VW bus. Nice. And it would be like me and my brothers in the back, with like a mattress on the floor and just bouncing around the inside on the trip.
Safety first back then.
And my father playing this 8-track, and that song would come on constantly. And it just reminds me of that. And I could see my dad, I could see my mom. It's just weird. Awesome. But if you have problems connecting with your past, listen to some music from your past.
Right. Pull up that era.
Oh my God, Lynn is with us. We got to give Lynn Serrano a shout out.
Lynn
is my co-host on my Tuesday night podcast.
Nice.
And she's actually the host. I'm her co-host. And she's out in Montana. Billings, Montana. Yeah, Billings, Montana. Population 2. And going down because of the cold.
That's right. Montana, for those that are out there, Montana, gorgeous. I've been in both corners. Haven't spent any time in the middle yet. Glacier National Park and went up through Yellowstone to the southern.
Wow, you've done some traveling.
I've been to 48 states.
Wow.
The only 2 I haven't been to are Alaska and South Dakota.
I've been in 2 states, state of drunkenness and state of intoxication.
There it is. State of mind.
Oh, there
you
go.
State of panic. State of regret. We've been to all the states.
So being our first show, I'm hoping you guys are picking up on the vibe. We're going to talk about serious issues, of course, but we're also not overly serious guys. I mean, we're very passionate about what we do. And saving somebody from a life of destruction, pain, and suffering with alcoholism, drug addiction, or mental health. We're there for that task. But we also understand that if you're not laughing, if you're not enjoying your life, you're not fighting. What do you got to fight for?
Right.
And that's why we'll stop and joke around and do this stuff. So don't ever think we're not taking it seriously. It's just, we take addiction very seriously. We take mental health issues very seriously. Life, we don't take seriously.
If we couldn't put a little levity into this stuff, for those that have been in this space for as long as we have, there's no way you'd make it. There's no way in making. No. It's got to laugh at. First of all, my biggest source of entertainment is myself. I like to laugh at myself because I am a silly goofball.
I know.
And by the way, no one else is usually laughing. It's like, what are you laughing at? I don't know. I just thought of something.
It's good that you can entertain yourself that way.
It's like that's why you talk to yourself. It's like, well, I'm having an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, Hannah, you got it right. Humor is the best medicine. Humor is absolutely the best medicine.
And I think that's one of the things too that as we go through this, and again, we're dealing with such a serious topic, and the pain that goes with it, and you think of, and look, God bless everybody we've lost. I mean, think of the people we've lost on this journey, right? And the parents and to work through that pain is something that you can't, I personally, we've lost, we've all lost family members. We've lost, I mean, you're one person removed. you're never going to bring that person back, and you're going to live through that pain. You're going to live through, we all know the stages. We all know that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, we want to keep those people in happy memories, right? We want to think of them in the best possible light. And it's like anything. It's almost like great comedy too. It's like, and we've started to take that away in this world. And I think it's something we need to bring back, is like some of the best antidote to the most serious things. If we can just laugh a little bit, it's the human condition that we got to have that release valve. If it's just the serious button all the time, that's where we just get into it. And there is it. And I had a he wasn't even a real mentor of mine. He was just a leader in my field, adventure education. That was his quote. It's like, life is serious, but not that serious.
Sandy mom and my mom Sandy has been sober now 42 or 43 years, something like that. She said, the longer I'm sober, the funnier I know I am. That's brilliant.
So let's look at some basic facts about drinking. Those that say that they sing better, you do not.
You do not.
Those that say they play pool better, you are not playing pool better.
Those think it gives you courage. It does not.
No.
It simply numbs everything.
That's right. That's
not courage.
That's not courage. That's
courage is doing things in spite of fear, not in the absence.
In the absence of fear.
And let's talk about the other lies. They call it getting high with drugs.
Right.
Well, if my intelligence is lowered,
mm-hmm.
my reaction time is lowered, my emotional intelligence
your
is
bank
lowered,
account's lowered,
my bank account's lowered, my ability to control my body, the ability to control the amount, the ability to control my bladder is lower.
Yeah.
Everything about you gets lower, and we call it high.
Yeah.
High is the great lie.
Yeah. And
it is not about getting high. Now, if you walked up to me and says, I'm going to take these drugs because I want to be stupid, at least you're being honest.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's some great transcendental thing or something like that. It's not.
What's the Iggy Pop line? I want to bash my brain with liquor and drugs.
Yeah.
And that's from the song Lust for Life, if anybody will check that one out. But I mean, think about that state of mind at that point in his life. I want to bash my brain with liquor and drugs.
Hannah says I could share on how crazy she was. She says, I was definitely a handful, but I'm grateful for y'all putting up with me and allowing me to get through it, because it got me where I am today. And I am seriously so thankful. See, now those are the messages that no matter what we lose or how many times we got to bang our heads against the wall,
right?
We get somebody like that who's won. And if I got to work my whole life and I only affect and help one person, it's worth doing.
It's a life worth living.
It's worth doing.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting. We're just doing.
Bill says danger is real. Fear is a choice. That's a true statement.
It's absolutely true. And we're still trying to find out the new name of the carrier dome. Bill,
you Google, buddy. Google.
But here's a statistic. Speaking of that, when you think about lives saved, so we had just over 600 overdose deaths last year. And this we should pivot right back to serious.
600
overdose deaths. No, Palm Beach County.
In Palm Beach County.
This is 2022. So the date is always about a year behind, which is getting ridiculous, but we're working on it. But between 2022 and 2023. This is pretty great. We had a 17% reduction in overdose deaths. Now, people say 17%, that doesn't seem like much. 17% of, say, 630, that's over 100 people. That's 100 people that are still walking, talking with their families, either finding recovery or finding those next steps to get there. They got a chance. So when people say, oh, what difference are you making? Well, there's 17% of 600 and change that didn't make it that now are. Is that worth it? I think so.
It is absolutely worth it. Unfortunately, while the awareness and the work that is being done in that county is working, nationwide, we're still losing. It's going up, not down. JMA Wireless Dome.
Oh, what?
I know. I don't even know what JMA is. Is that a company? What the hell? JMA Wireless Dome.
Sorry, guys. Carrier Dome.
It's always going to be Carrier Dome to us.
It's the Carrier Dome.
All right. So anyway, I know that
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Unless JMA Wireless, sponsor of Far and Beyond. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Send us a check.
Yeah.
We'll donate it gladly to the charity of your choice.
We're only asking for about half of what you spent on the dome. That's,
Exactly.
I mean, it's nothing.
That's it. Naming rights.
So anyway,
JMA?
JMA, yeah. I don't know what the hell JMA is. Back to the point, which I've just absolutely lost in this last.
See, that's how it works.
Seconds. That is how it works.
CRS.
But I can't remember shit. It's absolutely true. But the West Virginia numbers are going up. Ohio numbers are going up.
Florida, Tampa's skyrocketed
in the last 2 decades leading up to 2020.
Right.
2 decades, just opiate overdoses,
right.
Just opiate, not counting all the other alcoholism deaths and the other drugs and stuff. Just opiates, 700 or 750,000 people dead in 2 decades, in 20 years.
Correct.
On the pace that we're changing and we're increasing, the next 2 decades, from 2020 to 2040, they're predicting a loss of 3 million people to opiates alone.
That's right.
We're not winning.
No.
We're not winning. And let me tell you why we're not winning, because we're fighting a war on drugs. Drugs are not the problem. Alcohol is not the problem. The problem is apathy. The problem is that we all have somebody in our lives who we know is suffering from some sort of mental health problem. It doesn't even have to be a diagnosed disorder. It could simply be depression, which could become something else. We know somebody who's suffering. We know somebody who's drinking too much. We know somebody who's drugging too much. We know somebody who's doing the wrong things. And we're not stepping in. We're not stepping in. Why? Because, I don't want to upset them or this or that. We've got to change how we do it. This whole turning a blind eye thing is not working.
And also you mentioned it with drinking earlier, that rite of passage piece, this and that.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, we got to remember too, the one thing I could tell you about cigarettes, alcohol, or an FDA approved drug is that we can tell you what's in it. We can tell you, we know what's in a cigarette, every ingredient, none of it's good, but we know what's in it, right? Alcohol, highly regulated, even though it still far and away kills more people than the other drugs combined, just so you know. It's the long game. But as we like to say, the pie graph looks like Pac-Man. Pac-Man's mouth's getting a little further open. Alcohol is always Pac-Man. The wedge is everything else, but that wedge keeps getting bigger. That's terrifying because we're in super danger zone.
Right.
So here's the thing too, is that in that 20 years, it's been a chemical arms race. 20 years ago, it was heroin. Then we had OxyContin. We went synthetic, right? That came through. Then we cut the supply of that and it became heroin again. And when heroin got expensive, wow, this fentanyl stuff is a great way to cut it. Good way to make money and get people what they need. And it's also way more addictive. And then it's like, well, why are we bothering to spend all this money on heroin? We can just cut up this fentanyl. And so the cost becomes almost nothing. The potency becomes completely toxic. And we are now they call it fentanyl poisoning, but it's not fentanyl anymore. There are 2,000 plus, probably by the time I say these words, there'll be 2,300 derivatives of synthetic opiate out there.
Absolutely.
It is a chemical arms race that, and we work closely with DEA. We work closely with HIDTA. Our law enforcement agencies they're doing an incredible job. They know what they're up against. And the challenge we have now is that, they're all intelligence agencies because the supply, it's not like, we'll hit this place and this place and this place. It can come in from anywhere. It can be produced anywhere and it can be distributed from anywhere. When I mean anywhere, absolutely anywhere.
And they'll go in and they'll say, hey, well, let's go to Pittsburgh and let's cut off the heroin to Pittsburgh.
Right.
And everybody in Pittsburgh would say, oh, that sucks. It's okay. I got meth.
Well,
then we're going to go in. We're going to cut off the meth. Well, that's fine. We got cocaine. We got crack. Well, they're going to cut that off. And then all of a sudden they're back to, well, you forgot about the heroin. We're bringing it back.
That's right. Well, but here's the thing is all those things you just discussed are now, all of them are contaminated with synthetic opiates. So there's no meth, there's no cocaine. You hear about cocaine deaths.
They're putting it in marijuana for crying out loud.
So they're just to know. So they're not people still smoke dirty, as they say, but it's less. People think they're putting opiates in marijuana. Here's the irony. It's not that they're spiking it. The marijuana is so incredibly strong. It's actually showing signs of you can overdose on marijuana now. THC poisoning is rampant. Greening out is right. THC level. We don't have a marijuana problem. We have a THC problem. THC levels are through the roof.
Right.
This idea of medical marijuana, you're not. So back in the day when that Van Halen album was hot, right? 5150. Thank you very much. That was your THC levels were like 3%. 5% was the good stuff, right? There is not, unless you like, again, you got your own little grow, and even that, good luck. If you're going into a dispensary, medical marijuana dispensary here in Florida, you're probably walking through the gate at least 15% to start. You start doing edibles, you start doing distillates. They're finding in vape form, like distillate, they're looking at upwards of 80, 90% pure THC.
It's ridiculous.
That is,
we don't,
so it's, it's, they're not. So you start combining.
I want to say, I don't think it's rampant that there's being fentanyl being put in marijuana.
Oh, no. But
what is happening in some places for some reason, and some people are doing it purposely, and some people are doing it to harm others.
Anything and anything,
and that's exactly the problem.
That's it. So there's,
if you buy anything from anybody,
that's right,
on the street, you're
good
taking
luck.
a risk,
and there's no soft landing. So it's not, and the way I say that, it's like, look, you had someone who drank too much. Alcohol poisoning is a real thing, but most people, it's like, okay, look, wait till the morning. We'll get them up. We'll work from there, right? Sleep it off. Other drugs, not probably a little more harsh, as we all know, but at the end of the day, we're probably going to get you up in the morning and have a shot. You get a kid at college, not even with a diagnosed substance use disorder, who's taking Adderall, and all of a sudden the Adderall supply is gone. Well, they just go to their buddy. They order it offline. They get, kids are smart. That's a pressed pill. You can make fentanyl look like any drug.
And they're doing it.
And we're getting kids dropping like flies because they think they're just taking what they normally can. So they also gets to that other issue. How about my soapbox right now? We got to get a little soapbox. We'll get a soapbox like graphic.
You know what? We'll get a gavel.
And
we'll take the stand every once in a while.
Do the it's so great when you said 20 years and back it up a little bit. I'm at that point now. I've been doing this work for 30 years, right? And early in my career, that we were calling the medicated generation. These are the first kids, and I was like an older kid. I was in my 20s, and you have young kids. These kids were the ones that were getting, and this is when Ritalin was rampant. Adderall was rampant, and they would speed them up slow them down on clonidine at night, which was a heart pressure medication, and speed them up in the morning with Ritalin, which is speed, right, for ADHD. Every kid had ADHD.
Yeah, if you accidentally blinked too fast while talking to somebody, you were diagnosed.
Well, and they wouldn't even do a real diagnosis. I mean, it's just,
it's subjective. Absolutely.
And also that was the rise. And this isn't tinfoil hat stuff. You can go look at, go watch TV from the 90s or the late 80s and early 90s. That was also when we had that pivot to pharmaceuticals being advertised on TV. So, everybody remembers the little happy or the little sad Zoloft head for the antidepressant Zoloft, right?
Yeah.
So everybody knows that guy. It was as ubiquitous as a Peanuts character, So it was that idea that we now have pills for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids are the medicated generation. So as they grew up and got in their 20s and 30s, same behaviors. Where do we see these? These aren't patterns are patterns for a reason. You could see the patterns where they come from. And this isn't a blame game or anything like that, but it's like, okay, if we know the pattern, where do we now insert a solution so we start breaking the pattern? And I think that that's the hardest part right now because the drugs themselves are so pervasive. And now here's the thing, and I'll throw this out there. Think of all the stuff we have in our area here. And I don't know your area, but I hope to find out about it because one of our things is we want to share information everywhere. Yes. Okay. But here in South Florida, where we've really pivoted, and people know we were ground zero for a lot of stuff. For not only the heroin epidemic, but also oxytourism. We were, the corruption and the absolute killing of people in treatment and sober home, all that. That's why we have all these things now. Instead of, laying down and saying, what are we going to do? We just said, what are we going to do? And we did something about it, right? So we changed that system. But if you look at where we're going, if you will, with this system in place, and by the way, we have widespread naloxone distribution. We hand out naloxone like Pez. We need giant Pez. Boom, 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 just shoot out those naloxone everywhere, right? Thousands of thousands. Those are saving lives every day. So imagine if we didn't have the recovery supports and the recovery network that we have. Imagine that we didn't have naloxone. Imagine our first responders didn't have all that continuous training and put in the time. How hard is that to see that on a daily basis and they keep coming back? So we have the best first responders, law enforcement, they're miracle workers. Our frontline medical staff, being able to revive people, bring them back. Do we have stigma in that? Absolutely. Do we have horror stories about it? Absolutely. But again, like anything else, we make sure that's the exception, not the norm. But think of how many thousands of more people that wouldn't be with us today if we didn't have those things. So we see a 17% reduction. That's something to say, this is good.
Yeah.
But as I like to say, awesome. We've gone from horrific to horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's take the win.
Yeah.
But it's a long race.
It's a long race.
It's a long race. We just got off the starting line.
Yeah.
And we're constantly having to reinvent ourselves to do this. Here's a sobering thought. Imagine if fentanyl existed during the times when we had Woodstock. We had all those people together. Now, just on LSD and a few other things, I think there were three deaths at Woodstock.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or
and
3.
I think 2 because of dehydration.
Yeah. But also could be as a contributing factor, the drugs and other things.
Yeah.
Certainly.
If
but
fentanyl
would have been there.
Half of them would have been dead and half the bands would have made it off the stage.
It would, yeah. It's a game changer. It's not the same world. We have more shows coming up to talk about this. We're getting to the end to wrap this up.
We're getting to the end? Are you kidding?
Yeah, look at the clock. We've got 3 minutes left. But first of all, I want to tell you about FARR. And, this is what you're talking about.
That's right.
If you're looking for a halfway house and you want to know which ones are the good ones, which ones are registered, which ones are doing the right things, you can call them. You can, if you are a halfway house, or if you're thinking about opening one, this is the place you want to call, right?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
sober living.
So in the state of Florida, and this is also for anybody that's out there that's coming to Florida, either they're seeking treatment or certainly want to, we have a lot of folks that come here in recovery to continue their recovery. Well, it is Florida.
Yeah.
It is sunny and you don't have to shovel. Just to shovel the stuff that comes out of our faces.
If you're going to give up your heroin, you may as well get palm trees.
That's right. That's right. FARR is Florida Association of Recovery Residences is the certifying body for recovery residents in Florida. All right. By state statute, if you are a treatment center referring to a recovery residence, they have to be FARR certified. So this is not only a recommendation, but also a requirement, and it keeps you in compliance with the law. The other part of that is we're really building FARR out to not just be this certifying body and, we get out there and make sure people are doing the right thing. It's also for those recovery residents to be part of something bigger. We look at this as a movement, as an advocacy movement. You take 9,000 certified beds, take the word bed out of there. 9,000 individuals working on their own recovery. If they have a voice, if the owners of those places and the people that run those facilities have a voice, they're the best source of information. They're the best way to get the mission and the needs of recovery out there. And we're here to do that together. So when you see that on there, FARR Online, check it out right now. There's going to be a couple places on there that are we're literally in construction mode right now. We have a brand new website coming up online. Please call the number. You're going to talk to some great people like Kayla or Heidi or Josh or Chris or me. I'm Micah. And we can get you into that process. Or if you have other questions, please reach out. Our goal is to be as open and transparent with everybody in that space. I've actually been going on the FARR tour last couple of weeks. I've been around good chunks of the state. I'm heading up the East Coast next week. Going to do some stops in the Treasure Coast, Melbourne. I don't think I'll get to Jacksonville, but then I'll be in Tallahassee the following week. It's like going on tour again.
So you might go to farronline.org, FARRONLINE.org.
Yes.
farronline.org, or call 561-299-0405. I also want to remind everybody that if you're enjoying the podcast and if you want to do your own podcast, learn how to do podcasting, or would like to be a guest, contact me here at Sober Life Studios. You can email me at scott@SoberLifeArt, or you can call Karen, my business partner and one of the owners of Sober Life Studios, 786-514-0893. If you would like to have your own podcast or possibly be a guest on ours. You could also just leave it in the comments if you want to be a guest, or you've got something you'd like to share or something that you think we should talk about. Let us know. Leave it in the comments.
We'd love to have you on.
I'm going to throw this out here because we're going to be back in 2 weeks. And when we come back, part of our show, we're going to dedicate it, since we love music and we like movies and all that stuff, best recovery movies and best recovery music. We're going to bring best movies about addiction and the best songs about recovery.
And maybe the best movies that got someone to get into recovery.
Maybe that's it. Maybe Basketball Diaries is the right story.
Dazed and Confused probably inspired lots of people.
Dazed and Confused. Yeah. Also known as Keanu Reeves' autobiography. That was he was dazed and confused. Bill and Ted, that guy.
I want to think that I was. I think I was Randall Pink Floyd.
There you go. All right, but for all of us here at Far and Beyond Podcast, myself, Micah, and of course, our sponsors, FARR and Sober Life Studios, we want to thank you all for being here. We'll be back with more shows, and hopefully, we're going to have some fun in the coming months. Micah, final thought?
Hey, wishing everybody great recovery and get involved.
Absolutely. And if you want to have a good day, always do 2 nice things for yourself, 1 nice thing for somebody else, and you're never going to go wrong. We'll catch you next time right here at the Far Beyond Podcast. Bye-bye now.